Hello guys, welcome back. All right, so in this video, in this reaction video, I will be reacting to this video by Join the Cruise Nigeria, titled "Are the Elders Always Right?" Are the Elders Always Right? Now they have changed this title um after they initially released it a month ago, which is when I watched it. And I'm actually quite surprised by the number of views this video got. I was like, what? Really? But yeah, so it's pretty much, Gen Z versus Gen X slash millennial. I think there is a millennial there. So a millennial is somebody born between 1981 to 1996. So I was born in 1988. So I will fall under that category. And then the Gen Zs will be pretty much anybody born between 1997 to 2012. So Gen Zs will be like younger than 27 years old. So, so it's like 27, and because it looks like these guys are like in their early 20s. So 20, 21, or 22 years old. And the elders, they seem to be between 40 years old to maybe 60 plus. So it's pretty much, let's just say, Gen Z versus Gen X. um yes, because yeah, my generation, millennials, they're not really there. They're like my aunties. So all right, so let's watch this. So I might fast forward because otherwise the reaction video might get too long. So I want to keep this under an hour or so, under maybe 45 minutes. So let's see.
Please step forward if you agree with the prompt. What an elder sees sitting down, a young man can't see standing on an Iroko tree.
There's no youth, except that youth wants to be playing with fire, that should argue this statement that what an elder sees, they will never see. I was once your age, and I'm glad you agree. Your counterparts didn't come out. I just wonder what they're going to say. Listen, when I was your age and my parents were telling me a few things, I didn't see it. But now I'm older. I see they were damn right.
So I feel like that adage talks more about experience. Because of how much years you've spent on Earth, there are things that you've experienced firsthand that we still theorize. But because, experience is the best teacher. If it teaches you once, that is the lesson is constant. If you try it 10 times, you're going to come back to the same conclusion. Who has more experience better than the people that are older than us? So I totally agree with that submission.
It's an idiomatic expression. Yeah, the father may not be as tall as anything, but his experience is telling you that what is seen in the future, if you are not careful, it will befall you.
Many things that is in the Bible or Quran and yet is experience of the past, the thing that other people, other generations, they put down to us. Had it been those books are not there, we could have been living like animals. There will not be orderliness.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
That thing the elder is seeing sitting down, we will use drone and helicopter to see that same thing. Because I truly believe experience does not come with age. Anybody can have experience if you make action, you take moves. And I also believe experience goes both ways. Like can also be reversed. The elders can also learn from us. We can also teach you things. So I don't feel you should let your age make you arrogant.
For someone that is young, our brain is very active. These people are old. So you can't compare an old person with a young person. An old person does not know how to operate computer very, very well. Yes. You understand me?
I have.
So, and even the Bible says, those who are meek at heart, who have the heart of a child, will be the ones to enter the gate of heaven. Be humble enough to learn from us too. So
what do you want to teach us?
Hold on.
We can't teach you anything, mommy. We teach you
Okay,
tech.
so let me take you up
give
on
me
that.
3 things.
Hold on.
No, let
them do
them
their
give me 3
talking.
things.
No,
you
let
want
them do
to
their
teach us.
talking.
Come on.
That's one of the examples of the arrogance of the older generations. They talk about respect so much, but they actually don't practice what they preach. Because why would you tell me I can't teach you anything? I feel respect should go both ways. She can also teach me something. Yes, I agree. But she doesn't actually believe I can teach her something. And I feel that's like unjust.
Are you telling me, and I'm talking to you directly, that you don't ask your father and your mother for some kind of advice on some certain topics?
I agree.
Why do you do that?
I'm not saying they don't have...
Excuse me, I'm taking
Don't get me wrong.
I'm not getting you wrong. You said that we shouldn't get arrogant and that what we see, you will use drone or whatever. So why didn't you use drone to ask your mommy or your daddy that, oh, there's this thing that I'm going through. What do you think? Do you understand?
That still applies to what I'm saying. I'm humble enough to ask my mother, my father for some certain topics of life. And
Why?
I believe
Why?
Because I believe they truly have the experience.
Do they?
And I believe I also have experience that they don't
We're
have.
not talking about we're not talking about your experience. With what an elder sees, right? So you believe that there's something they know ahead or they've experienced ahead. And so you humble yourself, you creep to them and say, hey, daddy, blah, blah, blah. And they advise you. Why?
Well, what I'm trying to tell you is that it goes both ways. It goes both ways.
Did we argue that we can't learn from you? I beautifully said, you're so brilliant. You're so smart. But there are one or two things that are not right. I'm not going to stand here and be battling words with you. If there's an obvious problem, there is a problem. So for you to go to your parents, your mommy and daddy, and ask them on a topic that your drone couldn't answer you, then I think we're right.
An elder is only an elder with his wealth of experience, and the experience is gotten over time, right? If the person is already maybe say 70 years old, he has spent 70 good years on earth, which means there are some things he probably experienced which may or may not apply to my situation, but it doesn't take away the fact that he has experienced them and they are valuable lessons for me to learn from them. Now, I just have to now use my discretion in knowing which one to accept, which one is going to follow my situation, and which one to reject.
The problem is that we're not disputing that you guys have a lot more lived experiences, is the fact that because a lot of older people tend to see the world in one particular way, and whenever they are giving advice, it comes out as a lot more haughty. It seems like whenever the older generation wants to speak to a younger person, the default, 70% of the time, default is condescension. You don't really know anything, so let me just help you along.
I said that, and I'm older generation.
I said it's percentage. You guys have structures that you have already done. The experiences you have had are invaluable, okay? But if you are coming to me as, I know a lot more than you. Of course you know a lot more than me. You are older than me. That makes sense. Why are you making me feel like I'm stupid?
Maybe.
What makes you think we're making you feel
that's how it comes across to me.
Maybe
That's like, it feels like
you are trying to be
I did
high-headed.
I did it.
I'd like to hear her.
I did a short stint in corporates for like 3 months and I left because this was how the environment was. I was the youngest person there, and you felt like everybody across was trying to tell me, well, I have a lot more experience than you, so you should do this in this particular way. There are many roads to the markets. Okay, sometimes it's bush and you will fall inside gutter. You might start to enter the market. One road is just smoother than the other, and that's probably the road that you advise me to take. But it feels that like you are just hammering it on my head anyhow.
Was that person talking to you harshly?
It's not a specific person. It's I put the percentage out of the air, but it feels that like in my lived experience, 70% of people that older people that talk to me
can't communicate with you.
Were you arguing with them or something?
I don't even argue.
Please step.
Whew. All right, so that went by quickly. So, what an elder sees sitting down, a young man cannot sit standing on an iroko tree. So, this is an old Nigerian proverb, probably Igbo proverb. So, let me not generalize it and say it's an African proverb. And so, this goes to show that the older you are, the more wisdom you generally have, and that is based on experience. So an iroko tree, let's think of it as an oak tree. It's a giant tree, over 100 years old, tall, huge. The elderly person has probably been living around that iroko tree for, let's say, 40 years, for example, right? 40 years. And so that elderly person knows, probably knows every branch, knows, okay, so there's a bird nest, there's this, there's that on that tree. Whereas you have a child who is only 9, who's, let's say, 9 or 10 years old, right? That child, cannot fully see all the branches, and that child probably doesn't even know what an iroko tree is and what have you. So that goes to show that certain things, you need experience, you need to have lived life, right? And so that's what the elderly are just trying to prove, whereas the young ones are saying that, well, we can always use technology. We can use drones, we can use computers, we can use, the technology that has been made available to us. But one thing that the younger generations are not are not admitting to is that those elderly generations that they are looking down upon are the ones who actually created those drones and those cell phones and those computers and everything that they are now using right now. Even though the younger generation might have, perfected it, but the older generations were the ones who created the template, right, for them to be able to use that. And even if you do have a drone to look things up, right? If you don't even know what you're supposed to be looking at, there's no way you can see what you're supposed to be looking at. It's like sometimes, like I'm looking for something, right? But sometimes it's in my hand, but I'm looking, and it's right there, right in front of me, right? Because it's like I'm looking in the wrong place, or I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. The same thing with like using a computer, using a cell phone, or using whatever to look stuff up online. If you don't know the right keywords, the right query, the right things to look for, you're not going to find it, right? You need somebody with experience to guide you. Now, with the young lady at the workplace, right? People being condescending, that is a very that is, quite common in many workplaces in Nigeria. Let me just focus on Nigeria. It's very common, right? Whereby if you are a newbie, it doesn't matter if you're young or old, as long as you're a newbie, people will just want to bully you, make you feel inferior, make you feel stupid, make you feel inexperienced, right? So, and then you have to prove them wrong that, hey, you know what, I have experience, I know what I'm doing. And also, it doesn't hurt to just ask for directions, and just see, okay, so what is the workplace culture here? The workplace culture where you're coming from, that's their workplace culture, but here we have a different workplace culture. But I know in Nigeria, the workplace, it is very toxic, whereby you have to use SARS and mass when the chairman or when the CEO walks in. Everybody stands on your feet, and you pause everything, and like you're always shaking. You can't even look at your boss in the eyes. You can't sit in the same room as them. So it's like, I think that is just completely different, right? Sometimes your CEO might even be your friend, right? So you guys are like the same age, or maybe just a few months, a few years older. But because your friend gave you the job, now your friend is now treating you like, like you're a nobody. So I think that's like a different conversation that young lady was trying to bring up.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Respect, as demanded by the older generation, is overdone.
Enough respect before common sense. You can't tell me somebody is doing something that is like someone driving a car. You know where this person is passing will cause accidents, and because he's older than you, you will tell him, it's okay, sir, keep going, so that two of you will die together. Is that sense? Is that sensible? Obviously not. If we know this person is actually leading us to hellfire, collect the steering wheel. Whether force or fire, no go good for anybody. Collect that steering wheel. So forget respect. Respect comes with experience and sense. Let respect also come with sense, not just culture.
So also what boomers, older people often call respect is not really respect, it's just blind adoration. I respect you means I value your opinions, and I will take your opinions and put them into consideration. Not just you say jump and I say how high. If you say jump and I say how high, that's a cult. That's township. That's not respect. It's not me. It's me just blindly following whatever the hell you say. Somebody asks you to do something and you say, oh, okay, but why? Or isn't it better if you do it some way? Like, oh, you're being disrespectful. I just asked you a question. How am I being disrespectful? That's a hypothetical situation, but it's something that's happened constantly over the time.
As much as we feel like respect should go both ways, you should be able to talk to me as well as I should be able to talk to you. They have a thing with tones, right? They have a thing with approach. They have a thing with how do you talk to me? It doesn't take away the space of respect. I'll give you respect, honestly, but the moment you start to make me feel like I probably need to be carrying you on my head, or maybe say I probably need to give you the same respect that I give maybe say God, then maybe say there's a problem.
Like I said, the condescension, they come to you with like most times it comes to you with a place of, oh yeah, I'm saying this and therefore it must be right. It might be right, right? But like, is it really that right?
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
Respect is a right. If you yourself will grow to the become old, you need to respect an elder. It's their right, just as you have individual rights today. Please, because that person you're giving respect has also given respect to the elderly ones, the ones before him. Now it is his turn. And at this particular turn of his turn, you say you are not going to respect that person. Well, it's you and God that when we talk to you, you do not hear. You know you are disrespecting us, but because we know we are not going to lead you astray.
It just becomes a right. Just respect them, learn to walk. And that's why I said, you guys need to calm. Just learn to walk away. See them as grown babies and deal with them that way.
I don't believe
You don't want to
respect
believe his
is a
word.
right. I believe respect is earned. You don't be entitled to respect of anybody. You
Okay.
earn respect.
Don't push it too
Okay,
far.
okay,
Don't push
wait,
it
let
too
me-
far.
let
Just
me-
hold on.
let
Just
me-
hold on.
Every human being has a basic level of respect, actually. No matter who you are, as long as a human being, I believe you should be entitled to some form of respect. True, but there's a certain level of respect you should not be asking for when you've not earned it. Just because you're old or just because you've grown up, that does not necessarily instigate you get that respect from you. You should just actually be entitled to it at the same time. So,
I don't think respect is an issue of demand, is a norm. Simply because, whether you like it or not, you were brought into the world by these elders. It's just a problem that you people are feeling rebellious. You don't want to be talked to. You don't want to be shouted out. No. Remember now, these things vary. You find in a certain circle, there's a mutual understanding between an elder. So what if, I'm not saying her, what if she came from, she's now an elder, but what if she grew up when she was like you, from an abusive elder, and all she knew all her life till she grew up was shout, she'll pass it. That's where you people need to be smarter. And stop fight, don't fight the system. You can't win that way. That's why we'll always be clashing. One person needs to get wiser.
Yeah.
And if you guys are going to lead, then try and just get wiser. You can't, and you see where God beats all of you. You keep doing that, it will be I'm telling you, like, seriously, this is no debate. If you keep doing that, it's going to affect you one way or the other. That's the truth. Realize that maybe I was screaming on him as my son. Maybe that's my. My mother used to almost bash my head with, and when I had kids, so it came from behind. But I know I had to grow out of it. So I know I watch my kids and I know that they're going to do better. Because they humbled themselves to learn better. There's all this rebellion. It's not going to take you guys anywhere. Your elders are your elders. Just deal with it. The Bible tells you that there's a way you deal with them. Sometimes we can be, I know what you're saying, but just try and realize that all these people, there are so many things elderly people would do to me, and even as elderly as I am, I still have people who are much, much older, and sometimes they can be a pain, but I look at them and I remember that I'm going to get to that place. And where I am right now, I won't want one child coming to, poke me.
I join my elders to say, respect is a right. We have some people within the Western culture here, if they want to greet their elder one, they prostrate. Is he a god?
Oh, yeah, Father
When you
will
prostrate for him, that is the culture. So it's a right. He is my elder. I can't just walk past him because I'm a Gen Z.
Even when that person is over demanding, because I understand, what you're about to say, like some people might be too edgy and all that, you still, because it's a right,
Just because
of that
an
gray
elder,
hair,
leave the person.
you have to respect, even if that elder is becoming too edgy and too troublesome, just bear it, walk away, and ask God for the grace.
Okay, let me ask you this
through
question.
it.
Let me ask the elders this question. Have you heard of that recent governor that was arraigned for embezzlement and everything? So we like to see that man in real life and I'll prostrate.
Yes.
A man that stole from.
Yes.
You're
I will
not,
still prostrate to
You're not
him.
the one to
you're
judge.
not the one to
You
judge
have
him.
no
He
right to
stole
do
from
this.
us.
You have
What
no
you're
right to
supposed to
disrespect.
was
do is
corrupt,
to
and
go
I'll
back
still
and tweet
prostrate.
like I told you
You
and
have
know
no,
how you
why,
come,
okay, so
how
he
you
stole
take
and
away
everything. You want to
leadership
judge him?
from
What if he
his hand.
kills? Should I still prostrate
You
for him?
understand?
What if he kills?
Why do
Are
you
you
think
not-
you're
You people
supposed
just
to
go and
judge?
sit down and be
You're
complaining.
not in that position.
I should still prostrate.
Yes.
Even if
Why
he
will
kills.
your
Yes.
so no hold on? So when you see him, you want to say, yo, you
I will
You
knock his
fight
head.
him,
He's a
knock his
teen.
head.
What?
He feels the elderly person has done something wrong and he wants to knock him. Is he doing the right thing? He's not. He should leverage on what he has now in his hands and cause a change. The age is on their side and technology is with them today. So they can do better.
You only knock him, he will pick you up and put inside jail. You're not supposed to knock his head. You're supposed to go and channel your brain to what to do. You know what I want to say? You channel your strength, your intelligence to where it's not supposed to go to. Like you, now you said you would give him a knock because
An
he
elder.
embezzled your money.
Yes.
What I expect you to say is to look for a way to plan the way that the leadership of this nation will go to the youths.
Step forward.
Ooh, all right. So let me quickly go over the comment section because a lot of people, a lot of people in the comment section were very triggered by the elders in the video. Yeah. So this person said, "Who else is watching?" And the blood is boiling, listening to the elders' arrogance, questioning authority. Yeah. Once you disagree with your elder, you are disrespectful. Um, Yeah, so I think this is why this video got a lot of views because a lot of the younger generations with access to the internet, with a lot of time to spend on the internet, they are the ones watching, sharing, commenting, and engaging with this, right? But like I said, so I am actually in the middle. So it's like it's mostly between Gen Z and Gen X, and maybe one baby boomer or such. And so I'm in the middle. So I'm like, a little bit on the Gen Z side, a little bit on the Gen X side. So I do agree with, some points. But the thing is, respect is not a right. I mean, what did you do to get that right? Like, respect is a privilege, right? It's like saying that love is a right. Like, because you're my wife, because you're my child, I have the right for you to love me. No, right? So because respect is just it's a privilege. It's a honor, right? That you give to somebody. So sometimes you will respect somebody, and that same person sometimes they might do something to piss you off, and you disrespect them, right? So I mean, it's not a right, right? So people just need to understand the meaning of a right. It's not a right, and I do agree that in the African culture, especially in Nigeria, a lot of elders they over demand it, and sometimes it's not even just elders, people who see themselves as more superior than you. So for example, I'm your boss, call me sir, address me by ma. I'm rich, or I'm more financially wealthy than you, so you have to call me by sir or ma. I'm a religious elder, so you call me pastor this, deacon this. You can't call me by my name even though we are the same age, or I'm even older than you. I have a doctor's degree, you have to call me a doctor. It's my right. No, right? If I want to call you Dr. This instead of your name, I mean, that's up to me. That's up to how I feel. If I want to call you by Sama or whatever, but I think that's just, it's a typical African demand for people to just demand respect. Like, respect, it's not something that you demand because people might respect you, like, on the surface to your face, but behind you, really, what they're doing behind you or saying behind you, it's something else. But let's continue.
If you agree with the prompt, modesty and morality are losing its values among the younger generation.
In the earlier days, all our activities is based on positive moral. We think of what they would say about our family. But in this era, when someone is doing something, it does it in its own way. Like, for example, when we dress in our days, every part of our body is covered up. But this modern society, some of them doesn't even care if they are half naked or not. We are living our own tradition, our own culture, imbibing European way of life.
We're somewhere and a girl walked past us half naked. And one woman called her and said, could you adjust your skirt a bit? Let it just come down a bit, because everything was showing. And when she turned back, he said, how does it concern you? She even pulled it up higher.
The aspect I'm looking at is some parents are not really standing their ground. And that is why some of these young ones are going off. Because my Bible tells me that if you train a child the way he should go, when he grows up, he will not depart from it. Parents have a very big role to play. If you've done yours, God will take control.
I feel like the Gen Zs have this unnecessary need to rebel. They just want to rebel against everything, every laid down rules, even to the point of gender, where this gender is no longer two. You have to give chances for pronouns, which was not there in the days of our fathers. Even our dress sense, we're becoming more fashionable according to what we think, right? Feel like more skin means more freedom. Like they say, our body, our choice. We departing from the laid down values that our fathers laid down for us is not a form of mental slavery. It's getting so much out of hand that if we don't curb it at this point, we might not have a next generation.
As brilliant and smart as this generation are, I think it comes down to an end time era. I'm not trying to be too spiritual, but that's the strategy of the enemy to take out the youth. There's so much skin going about. There's so much rudeness. As brilliant and as smart, and I keep repeating, they're crazily creative. But you find the boys wanting to turn to girls, the girls, it's just going really crazy.
Candid disagreeers, please step forward.
What people term morality these days is really just now who them catch outside the thief, right? It's not like all these things did not exist before. These things have been there. Did anybody know fellas dancers in the 70s? By any and all standards, they had raunchy dresses, right? Dressing to ascribe how moral a person is really speaks to your own projection as opposed to that person, because you're the one seeing the person. You're thinking, oh, this person must have a less than stellar character because they are portraying themselves a certain way.
Modesty and morality, I feel the definition changes with time and with generations. Like my mommy over here now, you wearing a trouser, if you check back previous generations, a woman wearing trouser is actually seen as a bad thing or a masculine man thing. But now, your generation made it a normal thing and made it the norm. So I feel change has to come from someone. It has to come from one generation. And I feel change is not a bad thing. Just because we might act a certain way or dress a certain way doesn't necessarily make us bad people. I just believe the norm is changing, which is natural. Things will naturally change with time.
I detest that sort of look because it's just like you are posing like a lady or girl, which is not naturally endowed to men. Or maybe you are feeling inferior to what God gave you. I feel it's not normal.
I have a grandmother, she has told me stories of how her own children were rebellious back then. So they were also doing things that were seen as immoral or bad back in their own days. But now they've gotten to that position and they're telling us who are now the bad kids. But back in old days, a trouser on a woman was seen as something that was immoral and bad, but they fought for it and they continue to wear their trousers. So why is it my turn to braid my hair? Then it's a problem. So I'm also fighting for my own generation, the point where it becomes normalized.
Yes, we expect changes and we accept changes. And even as the changes come, we still expect modesty as we embrace change. Yes, in the olden days, women don't wear trousers. But now, because of the change, which we all embrace, because we all believe that, okay, in the olden days, we don't even have television to watch. Now, everybody watches television. Because of that change, that still does not stop us from being modest. Like the trousers I'm putting on, I can see the way I put it on. Nothing stopped me from maybe making everything revealing.
Are you a Christian?
We're not talking about
No,
religion.
I have your points.
Law. You talk to you bring your child today, you want to advise him. I said, Daddy, your own time is over. I beg not the advice. I'm an adult. But in our own days, there's never adult that you can disobey your parents. But in these days, they feel that they are too exposed. Yes, they are too exposed to the negative part of life. That is why they behave like that.
I actually have my own morals, have my limits. I know my balance. Okay, this is where I draw the lines. No killing, no drugs, a lot of things. Like, I do have a line. They think we are just wayward and we'll do anything and everything. That's not true. We actually have our own limits. It's just different from yours.
Skirt, you're a bit, you're looking cool. I don't have a problem with nose pierce because I also have one, There's an obvious decadence where your breasts are out. You come on.
Okay.
Calm down.
Let me just say,
calm
if
down.
all of us,
calm down.
just
calm down.
If all of
You're
us get
dressed
naked,
nice.
what are you going to? Are we
Some
not
people
animals?
among us probably have a problem with your hair.
If all
I
of
don't
us
have a problem
get
with that.
naked now,
But there's an obvious, let's get real here. There's an obvious thing out there where skin is
While I
overly
agree, so who makes the rules? Who gets to decide
So that's
what's
what did
modest
I,
and what's
if you
nice?
remember what I said, it's a problem that's happening. It's like a wind. You're going to
Who
have
gets to
children,
decide
aren't you?
what's nice or not?
No.
it's not you that's
Okay, so
supposed.
no. Okay, sir.
You want to.
Okay, so one thing that's like, by the way, is that I noticed all of the female in this debate, they all have their cell phones. So maybe next time they should just tell people to keep their cell phones in their handbag and just put them aside, because it's just weird for them to be checking, because she was on her phone for a while, and even the people in the comment section, they saw that, and she keeps holding her phone, flashing her phone, like there might be something on her phone, like a message might come in that the audience aren't even supposed to see, and she has her phone. So I think they should just tell people to just leave their cell phones. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, it's not that urgent for you to have your phone on. And another thing I noticed is for the younger ones, they just put them all under Gen Z. But for the elderly, they just kept saying African parent. This is about two generations. So they should have been like, okay, this person, she's a baby boomer. This person is Gen X. This person is millennial. This person is that. And this person is Gen Z. So they should have actually added that instead of just generalizing by saying African parents. Like you could be 22-year-old and have a child. That makes you an African parent, but you're still a Gen Z, right? So I don't understand why they didn't just put the actual generation there. And about this point, so I'm just gonna fast forward for the next 10 minutes because I wanna end this. So modesty and morality, they're losing their values amongst younger generation. That I can definitely agree with. All over the world, all over the world. So some countries, it's like jarring, it's jaw dropping. It's like, what are you wearing? Like, seriously, what are you wearing? So, and that goes for both male and female, especially female. So, and yeah, so I definitely agree with this. And morality, I believe it changes with time. So what used to be immoral, for one generation, now it's like moral. So for example, like the elderly generation, right? As a woman, if you are wearing pants like jeans, that shows that you are immoral. If you are a parent or if you are married, it doesn't matter if you're married at 18 or 19. It's like, okay, stop wearing pants. You have to start dressing like a married woman. Once you have kids, you have to start dressing like a mother, because it's immoral to be wearing strapless because all your skin is showing. It's immoral to be wearing jeans. It's immoral to not greet elders and this and that. So I think morality, it changes with generation. So I'm sure this generation, when they grow up to be this generation, so when the younger generation, when they grow up to be the older generation, they too will be sitting right across them and be like, hey, back in our day, like, this was immoral. Like what you guys are doing, it's not modest, it's not moral. So that's what I have to say about this particular debate. But let's move on.
Generation are the cause of the country's current problem.
Yeah, this.
I agree with that statement a whole lot. 20 years ago, Nigeria was a lot better than it is right now. And the same people that they handed Nigeria over to have refused to hand Nigeria over to someone else. I feel like your generation just looted us. Every bad thing that has happened in Nigeria now started from your generation. And I'm not ashamed to say that.
We've heard stories of our great leaders like Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, of the great things they did: free education, free water, good roads. Everything was new, everything was good. But over the years, this older generation ruined everything: corruption, stealing. They call us Yahoo boys, but they're the ones that started with the theft. Even if you know a leader is bad, they still would not speak against that leader in the name of respect. The older generations, even though a person is not competent and the person is not doing the right thing, they can't speak up in the name of respect. That's something I don't really agree with, and I feel that's something that should actually change. As long as somebody is not competent in something, no matter what, they should be taken out of that position. Forget respect, forget everything. I believe respect should always come with common sense.
Look at politicians. I heard the news of, it's not weeks ago, that so amount of money was buried under the ground. This is what our older generations are doing. They see us driving car now, they say we are Yahoo boys. What about them? They understand. And they will do all these things, they will go scot-free. So looking at it, the older generation is really a big problem.
For people who talk about morality a lot, Nigeria is not looking very moral right now at all. It's not looking like a product of morality. And this is ridiculous because a good chunk of them, not all, but like a good chunk of them have refused to take responsibility to it and have foisted that responsibility to the younger ones. I said, well, you're the one here now, deal with it. How can we deal with it when you're handing us like a broken thing and telling us to fix it? We don't even know who broke it.
The older generation did a lot of harm to the Nigerian state. Fortunately for them, they attended school free of charge. They were taken care of, but they couldn't build on it. They couldn't plan. Rather, they are busy amassing wealth, personal wealth. The state wealth that would have been used to plan for the future is into personal pockets. And that is what is giving birth to what is happening to the Gen Z now. And when you don't have a very good foundation, the house is always what? Shaky.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
The Gen Zs are rebels. Then, when it comes to government, we are talking about what stopped the Gen Z, because, they always appear like people that are very, very intelligent. Why can't they tweet among themselves, think about what to do to effect change in the nation?
You guys did not allow us now.
Wait.
You didn't give us space.
I feel like she actually said, okay.
You don't sit back in the house and complain about the government. I don't defend the government, yes.
What else are we supposed to do? When youths try to make a difference, they were shut down by, again, the older generation. And I know some of them will be like, it's not all of them. But if you have a crate of eggs and one egg is bad, but you don't know which egg is bad, how do you make the choice?
Because if actually this question is put this way, how did the problem of Nigeria start? Then I would have known where to start. But we are talking about generally, both in family and then the government, okay? Now, I am saying that the Gen Zs, knowing that they're too smart, they're very intelligent, because when it comes to creativity, they are there. Think about how to attack the common enemy the nation Nigeria is having. They could come out, okay, if we remember what happened during the past presidential election, just 4 people started it all. And you saw the boom about peace. You saw it all. All of us experienced it. So the same way, they could tweet among themselves.
I think you're forgetting the NSAS movement. I think you're forgetting that.
Yes, the NSAS, because some of them, at a point, they were not participating anymore. I was also amongst them, because if you look at me very well, you see that I am in between the boomers and the Gen Z. So I know what I'm talking about.
NSAS was a success.
Yes, it was a success, but
To a
then
degree. To a degree.
NSAS taken up by the youth was a success.
To a degree.
At least they were able to scrap.
It was
SARS.
killed by the same. It was
No,
killed
no,
by
no.
your same
Government
It
generation.
wasn't
agreement.
actually a success because
It
they
was
did
killed-
not end well. Because that's what
I
I'm
can-
telling you.
I
Because
can-
they
I-
didn't
I
know where
can
to
tell-
channel
I can
their
tell you that
intelligence.
No,
NSAS is
even the
not
government
protocol by
acknowledged them.
use.
You
Because,
understand?
let me tell you, NSAS is not, it is what is affecting Nigeria that the youth propagated, they carry forward. And even the elder one back them up.
Yes.
They don't sit down and
But that
say,
was your fight.
yes,
That was actually your
it's just
fight.
like a protest.
No, their fight was against Yahoo.
I'm saying that
we
fight
are
was
doing.
your fight.
And
It was not. Their claim is that they were searching them on the road, collecting their money and collecting.
nobody among
I was also part of
Even
it.
killing some of them.
boomers.
Even
Nobody, even the among the boomers, complain against what the youths are doing.
But you were
We
the one that stopped
supported.
it.
It is, look, you fought against this government like this. You don't call the boomers because boomers are those people. You are calling both the people who supported
at
you
home praying
and those
for
people
you.
who are not
Yes,
supporting.
yes.
I was even
The
in your
boomers-
midst.
And it is
The
people,
government-
the
I
people
was
they
there at
killed,
toll
we are
gates.
born by the boomers.
Because they are
understand?
because they are
So
because they are in the
keep
government
that
does
one
not
aside.
separate them
Keep
from
that one
boomers.
aside. Let me just
They are still the boomer. They are still
excuse me,
boomers
please,
as well.
Please, let me keep that one aside.
Okay.
These people you say they are the one destroying government. Do you know that when they were in your own age, they fought for Nigeria during the First Republic? Bribery, killing, and every other thing. This political thuggery started. That was when Nzogwu and co. Over there, they were young.
I'm going to ask a question.
Hold on. That was when Nzogwu dan struck to bring sanity. You are talking of there's no job. There was never a time use of this country, even when we were as young as you are, government gave us job freely. We devoted ourselves in educating ourselves and get government jobs and get jobs. We struggle. Otherwise, if you are saying government is not, the same thing you are experiencing is what we will experience. We fought for ourselves. And
You
the
now
youth
go
of
into
nowadays,
immoralities.
the youth of nowadays want
Instead
government
of
to do
fighting
everything for
I have,
them.
I have a question.
This was the question I was going to ask. I'm sorry. For youths, right, between the ages of 22 to 30, how many of you had jobs that time?
At 22, I was already flying internationally, going to US,
You
UK,
had a job.
because
Listen,
I
sorry,
worked hard.
Why must it be
I got
a
my
job?
certificate
Okay.
as
You need to
first degree in marketing,
I don't
but I
want
didn't use it to work.
talking like that.
He said we are lazy.
Now, is he right?
No,
Lazy, and I'm trying to make
because
a point.
I didn't want to work. I'm a
want
woman.
to
I
work.
decided
Lazy, and I'm
to
trying to make it
do
work.
business
Say-
to
say
take care
that.
of my
What kind of
family.
business did you do that you now travel outside the country?
You had one thing you were
Good.
depending on,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You guys, how many of you have 2 or more things that you're hustling for? Every Gen Z person I know has more than one job. More than 2, more than 3, at least 3. You cannot sit down there and call us lazy for an economy that you
is
brought
based on.
Hey, that's what
That
I'm
is based
talking
on
about.
what we are in now.
That's what we're
That's what
talking
we are
about.
talking about.
Now on national
What are you
TV,
talking
you
about?
want to say bloody, right?
But it's painful.
What?
It is
It's
painful
okay.
for
No
our
matter how,
life.
that's the thing.
Bloody is
No matter
okay.
how
Can you
painful,
see
you should have restraint.
morality?
That's the problem with your
Everything
generation.
trying.
No.
You guys will suffer and die
God in
pain
heaven
the name
is
of
not
respect.
smiling.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
this
don't
guy-
think respect is okay. You think you can
Not
just
on my
pop-
life. Not on my life. I won't respect you if you are a threat to my life.
Exactly.
No, you can't tell me to be respectful.
The older generation are threats to your life.
Yes.
The Gen Zs are
Hold
threats.
on, hold on, hold
You
on.
people join
Eating all the resources, there's nothing left for us. You're telling me to respect you.
You
How?
refuse
You
to
don't even think
allow
about the poor man's.
politics to be played
The
normally.
older generation are
The way
eating
it's
all.
supposed
I'm not
to.
eating
They
any
bribe
resource.
you.
I'm not the problem of the government. I'm an elder. There's a certain sect of people that have messed up the government. That's why I'm saying they need to calm down. If they keep coming with that energy, they're not going to be able to fix things. They need to apply a little bit more wisdom. That's where that guidance comes in.
Please step forward.
Oh, okay. So I think this is the part that got a lot of people triggered, including myself. The prompt was that the older generation are the cause of the country's current problems, right? I think everybody actually is the cause of the country's problems. The younger generation, the older generation, because everybody in Nigeria, it's like nobody wants that country to move forward. It's like the younger ones, you see them throwing garbage all over the place. They are unruly, like for example, the street boys, right? Like causing chaos all over the place. And then when you ask them, hey, if you go into government, if you go into politics, what would you like to do? A lot of them are like, oh, I'm just going to go there to just embezzle money. I'm just going to go there to just, take my own share of the national cake. Nobody has, like, only maybe 5% of Nigerians, both young and old, actually have, you know, like a solution for the country. Most of them, they don't care. They just want to go and embezzle funds. And like what one of the elderly man said, that the current politicians, they were young at one point, right, and they fought for Nigeria, but then through greed, right, they've changed their focus, right? They got there, they saw how much power they had and how much resources they had access to, and they just changed focus. They became greedy and they lost sight. So, and I can see why the younger generations are very, they're really triggered, they're really angry, because they are saying that, well, you guys are making this country tough for us, and whereas the older generation are just completely disconnect. It's like complete disconnect. Like they're not even connected to what's going on right now. They are saying that, well, back in our days we worked hard so we could get jobs. Well, at least you had jobs. With the current generation, there are no jobs because everybody is jackpying. Everybody is leaving the country. Companies are leaving. Company owners are selling out their companies and leaving Nigeria. There's so many Nigerian businesses, or Nigerians in businesses abroad who would love to go back, but they can't because the resources, the infrastructure is not there. So many people are selling their businesses and just moving abroad to go get a job, or to start all over again, right? So, but back in like these older generations' time, back in their time, Nigerians weren't going abroad like that. Even if a Nigerian were to go abroad to study, most of them will go back home because Nigeria was good then. So they will go abroad, study, maybe they got a scholarship, what have you, and then they will come back home, right? They will come back home to start the business, get a job, do something, improve the economy. Now, Nigerians who leave, they just stay there, they don't go back. And Nigerians with businesses and even foreign businesses, they are selling businesses and packing up, going somewhere else, and that just reduces opportunities of jobs. One of the ladies, she said something about, why does it have to be a job? Why can't you start something? The thing is, for you to start something, sometimes you need resources, you need money. So where are you going to get the money to start something? And sometimes you need to go and get a job first, learn, right? So learn how the business works, get experience, real life experience, hands-on experience before you can go and set up your own business, right? So many business owners in Nigeria, like the famous like Folarunsho Alakija, the lady, she had a job first, and then for there, she just kept evolving and evolving until she had her own business in oil and gas, right? So not everybody will graduate from university and then they go and start a business. If you start a business, you're fortunate enough to have parents or people who will help you with the fund, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just like $50,000. You start very small, very tiny, with one customer, two customers, and then you grow. Even right now with the current economy, you need technology to grow. You need to be able to post on Instagram. You need a really good phone. Phones are expensive. Everything is expensive. The USD to Nigerian naira, it's just over the roof. It's just crazy. So it's that you need money to be able to buy a good phone. You need money to be able to get internet. You need electricity. Back then, during their time, Nigeria was still stable in terms of electricity, safety, and everything that was like peace, right? Also, there weren't that many people, like like many cities weren't like overly populated, right? Things were cool and calm, so it was easier for them, right? So this is why it's so important for people to have empathy for others and just sympathize with what they are going through. Just because you're not experiencing it, just because you didn't experience it, doesn't mean you can't just, at least empathize with the other person and be like, okay, back in our days, it was better. Like one of the elderly man said that, yeah, older generations, they had free education, they had access to many good government resources, but now those government resources are no longer available, or they are nearly extinct, right? So, and I love the fact that that man is in touch with current society, because he knows what it was like when he was growing up versus now what it's like for people who are much younger. So I think this is the part that got a lot of people triggered. A lot of people triggered. So we're just gonna watch one more prompt, and then I will just summarize this video and we will end this.
If you agree with the prompt, boomers would act as the current Gen Z if they were born in this time.
A lot of the factors that influence how we behave is really external factors, and some of them even come from they themselves. The way we dress, the way we talk, the way we behave. Obviously, it's where we're born, the timeline we're born. So I believe they'll actually behave like us.
Every generation thinks the one after them is arrogant, willful, rebellious, and it's simply just breaking out of what was considered societal norms. Every single generation, you ask Gen X, they'll say, oh, boomers are so disrespectful. You ask boomers, Gen Z, millennials are so disrespectful. Ask millennials, oh, Gen Z are so disrespectful. It's literally just, it's circle of life. It's not like it's going to change anything. Take the same set of people in a boomer generation, put them in Gen Z, give them the same exact timeline, the same every external factor that Gen Zs have been influenced by, and give it to boomers, and then watch them become the new Gen Z.
If they had as much information as we have right now, they would make similar decisions.
They didn't even have that much information in those days, bro.
They could know what every other country is practicing. If they could understand how, how the US do their cultures, how, South Americans do their culture. If they could see how diverse the world is, I feel like, yes, they will make the same decisions.
You know, it's so funny because I have a habit of reading old newspapers, and my favorite section is the other section where people write in with like anonymously and complain to somebody. This is the boomer generation, and the things that you see there, you can take them out and put them on, let's say, Twitter, and they will fit right in.
Same problems.
Same problems.
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed. It's not like, okay, so what are you people really talking about?
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
I totally disagree. I will not, because one, the Bible or the Quran that you read is there as a standard. None of us here would say he doesn't go to church, or he doesn't go to the mosque. Or you're not a traditionalist. Even the traditionalists we're talking about, they have morals standing. You understand? So the Quran, the Bible is there as a standard. Then your parents are your role models, especially when you have the good ones. So I wouldn't be carried away. I wouldn't allow the wave of trend to carry me. No. I wouldn't want to bring shame to my family.
Have you heard of some civilizations in the Amazon forest that kill human beings, cannibals? Do you think those guys, they form their standard with the Bible? There's no Bible for them. There's no Quran for them. Nothing. But they kill human beings.
That's what they know.
That's what they know.
That's what they know, right?
Are you going to say, are you going to call them bad, or are you going to say they should behave like you?
They are bad.
Would you call, hold on, would you
We are
call
talking
them good?
about where we're living now.
Would you
In
call
this
them
nation,
good?
Nigeria.
human
We're
beings.
not talking about the forest now.
I feel like you're taking this like
Would
personally.
you expect those cannibals to behave like you?
Just hold on.
Are you now a carnivore?
Now,
That's the problem the
yes.
Gen Zs have. They think they have brain.
No, they
Let's-
do.
let's
No,
take
we
it
meet
easy.
all of you
Hello.
on our daily activities.
They
Hello,
do.
please.
Either in the
Me,
house
I'm not going to
or
take it
at
from
work.
There's this saying that two wrongs.
Don't make
Can
it
never
right.
make it right. You guys should
You understand?
humble yourselves
So,
for your parents to bring
if my
you up.
daddy made a mistake, and I'm seeing it that, oh, daddy has made a mistake, I will equally join daddy to make mistake, or I will even create a better mistake than daddy. I'm not making myself a son.
Point.
So now, the older generation they had a problem, and you are seeing the problem, and you want to escalate the problem, then we are not solving anything. The smartness and all what we have as Gen Z, we are not using it to do anything. We are using it the other way around. And
What
it's not
you're
moving us
saying,
forward.
can we do the same thing?
Simple.
What they ask us. What is happening now, basically, is not from your parents. It is from what you get from your technology.
Internet.
What you see from your television.
Internet.
what you see from the internet, what you see from the movies you watch. You are musical giant that you see. It is what you are doing. But like I know in our own time, people like Sonny Ade, Ebenezer Obey, they are preaching morality.
Yes.
Where did Charlie Boy not come from?
Charlie Boy copied from the other end.
Wait, that is why he looks like you.
If he can make that decision and he's a boomer, what if he was not a Gen Z?
Question is, if you carry everybody in your age group and everybody in our age group and we switch and wake up in like some Freaky Friday situation, everybody's the age of your parents, are you saying that everybody in your age group will act the way every boomer is?
No.
They're obviously going to act the same. Some people have innate values, right? But then again, those innate values are informed by our immediate family and the society we find ourselves in. I want to reference literature here, but like Lord of the Flies, they took everybody and threw them in an island, and everything.
The truth. As intelligent as the others are, they're still in that race of they're fighting, they're rebelling.
All right, so I don't really have much to say about these prompts because really, really, I mean, I don't even know why they even thought about that question. So, yeah, but I think the elderly ones were quite rude, actually disrespectful. Like the one woman said that the Gen Z think they have brain. We all have brains. Like we were all born with a brain. Every human being has a brain. So I don't understand what she meant by that, but I think maybe she was referring to intelligence or wisdom, even though she had said many times that the younger generation are very intelligent and creative. But I think that is just disrespectful to say something like that. Yeah, but the argument from the elders, it didn't make any sense, right? So anyway, let's move on to the last prompt really quickly.
If you agree with the prompt, the younger generation are too dependent on technology.
They believe that anything they read from this piece of technology we have, they believe that it is telling them the right thing. Sorry, I want to take it back to modesty we spoke about earlier on. You know, if they watch the movies now, they see some Nollywood superstars, somebody acting a particular role of somebody who is weird. Then you copy that person's mode of dressing, you copy that person's character, you copy that person's attitude, and you bring it to your everyday life. Then maybe the person that is even acting in that character is not actually like that in real life.
First of all, that point you made is insulting everybody's intelligence by saying that we don't know how to differentiate fiction from reality. But okay, the reason I say that Gen Z are dependent on technology is because there are no other alternatives. There's a phrase people use online where they say, go outside and touch grass, right? It means go and get in touch with reality and come back, which is great and fair and really nice to say, right? But if you go outside, what's there for you? You want to go outside, you want to go to, say, a park, you really want to touch grass, you want to go to a national park or something, they will tell you you need to pay, let's say, 5K as ticket fee. You take that 5K and you stand by data for 1 month, and you sit in your house, and you stand watch Netflix. If you want to read, you can read with your phone. You want to see someone else, you can video call them. Technology is now an alternative to actually going outside to live life, which is not really a fault, because if there's a tool there and you use it, are you really the bad person for using the tool, or is it the person that created the tool that is bad?
Okay, technology is good. It helps to elevate life. The usage is where the problem is. You see, most of the most of the Gen Zs, they committed themselves into technology. Nobody goes to library to make research with. You use your phone or computer to make any research without referencing to that particular archives. You might not get the real result because they say garbage in,
Garbage out.
Secondly, technology has made people make less use of their brain. You don't try to use your own God gifts, your own brain, which is even more better than the computer to work. For example, an engineer now will have an assignment to do, a job to do. He will start browsing Facebook.
Now, PDFs has replaced paperbacks, which means that we prefer to read on our phones than actually opening the leaves of a book, which is another, like, because some people actually even find it harder to focus when they are reading on their phone, because the moment you're reading a book, someone just texts you and say, my guy, before you know it, you're forgotten, you've gone so far online that you're forgotten that you're already reading a book. But if you're on the paperback and maybe say the phone is somewhere, you probably will not remember any other thing until you're done with the book. So I feel like in the aspect of social interaction, the internet has kind of like,
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
First off, I don't believe
Let me finish.
we're not even dependent on technology enough. I think we even need more technology. That's how life is going. I agree it has its bad sides, but there are also good sides of it.
To say that they're over dependent, no. We need to come to the realities of times, trends, and eras.
No, what we're saying there is that we have to strike a balance.
We
Well,
are
you
not
understand?
against technology.
We can't turn to robots because
That one will come.
See, my
technology
dear,
is good.
That one is coming.
times are passing. That's the truth. I don't want to, I want to be on the same page with we're exes and like I said, but truth be told, trends are trends, times are times, eras are eras. Like I said, my desire is for us to get with the program. There's so many things I've learned on YouTube. That's technology.
Just like what we
Overdependence
said.
is, for instance, somebody in school that's supposed to go and attend lectures. When you attend, during our own time, we have the taste of the university. That is, when you talk about the four walls of an institution, we'll go through it. The university will pass through, you pass through the university. But you see that these people that depend on, some of them don't even go to school. You understand? They read online. And that is why if somebody passes and they say, this person is a graduate, the attitude of that person wouldn't show you that this person is a graduate.
I'm so glad you mentioned school because I don't think people have entered a lecture hall in give or take. I don't know if anybody here has been in a typical federal university setting. You enter, the room is quarter of this place, and you have to struggle with give or take 100 other students with no fan and 2 windows.
Wow.
You'll not be sitting down there and the lecturer is doing the same notes from 1916. It's not really, but you go home and you go into YouTube and an Indian guy is teaching you the exact same thing your lecturer is supposed to teach you, and you can actually hear him. If the problem is you want to learn, the learning is going to different methods, but you are still learning and you are learning in an easier way. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's not. And it's an alternative because people have gotten to the point that they have actually passed.
Over-dependence.
And that excuse you gave, you pass through it. That is what makes you strong.
Over-dependent.
Technology transfer to Africa is a very good, in fact, it's a welcome development. Without technology, you and I will not be here.
Yes.
You understand? But what we are saying is, sometimes, because I speak to my children too, sometimes drop this phone. Do something.
Ooh, I'm so glad she said drop this phone, even though she didn't drop her phone. She didn't drop her phone. She brought her phone to the show. So yes, I think they could have had more stronger prompts, but this is good enough. And yeah, so you can see here we have about over 4,000 comments so far, and majority are on the side of the younger generation, right? And I really love, so my favorite characters are the young lady with the braids, the young man with the glasses, with the round glasses. Like he's really respectful and he's well spoken, and also the lady with the tie dye and the collar, right? So those are my favorite characters. So yeah, so she's my one of my favorites. Very well spoken. She knows what's going on. She knows what's going on, and he is, my second favorite. Very well spoken, respectful, and she is a good moderator, right? Sometimes when the elders are speaking, she lets she gives the younger ones the opportunity to speak, and so that the elders do not speak over them. So I really love how well spoken she is, and also how respectful she is of the younger ones. And I think Nigeria need more people like this, people who respect the younger generations. I think if she was a teacher or somebody in academia, I think she will make a really good teacher, a really good professor, a really good principal, because she really listens to the to younger people, and she lets them to, to express their opinion. So I really love that, and everyone else also, they did a really great job expressing their opinion. So yeah, I think this is a really good conversation between the elders and the younger generation. So I think what triggered a lot of people is the politics part, right, whereby the elders, they've spoiled the country for the younger generation, and so the younger generation are retaliating. They are fed up, with what's going on, but the elder generation are telling them to just, just be respectful and just keep quiet and just go along with the program. But anyway, so what do you guys think about this video? Have you seen it? If not, go watch it and let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you. Ciao.